The ship slowly moved into the deep ocean, sinking meter by meter into the dark blue water. The crew sat quietly inside, listening to the engine's soft hum and the sound of water hitting the metal walls far away. People didn't talk much. The silence got heavier the deeper they went. It seemed like the ocean was holding its breath. Outside the thick glass windows, jellyfish floated by like stars in the sky. Their soft blue and purple lights came on and off, lighting up the dark for a second before going out again. The little lanternfish swam in loose groups, and their tiny lights blinked slowly as if they were talking to each other in secret. The crew felt uneasy around these deep sea animals, even though they moved slowly. There was life here, but it was different, calm, patient, and aware. As the ship went deeper, the sun completely disappeared. Time didn't seem to matter anymore. There is no day or night, just water that goes on and on. The pressure rose and the metal around them creaked softly, reminding everyone how weak they were in this huge space. One crew member held on to the control panel more tightly, and another leaned closer to the window, unable to look away from the dark. Then, far below, something strange happened. At first, it was just a faint light that was hard to see. In the dark, a soft blue light shone deep down, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. The captain saw it on the screen and frowned. Their maps didn't show this light. It wasn't a mirror image. It wasn't the equipment. It was coming from the ocean. The blue light became clearer as the ship went down. It spread through the water slowly, like a hidden moon lighting up the deep. Animals in the deep sea nearby reacted to it. The lanternfish turned around and swam away from the light. The jellyfish floated up as if they wanted to get away from what was below. The mood inside the ship changed. Someone said, "That shouldn't be there." There were no alarms. There were no warnings on the screens. But everyone felt it, the feeling that they were going into a place they weren't supposed to be. Outside, the water looked thicker and heavier. The ship even felt slower, as if the ocean didn't want them there. The blue light moved a little bit, not too fast or too slow. It felt real. One crew member took a deep breath and stepped away from the window. Another person leaned forward, fighting fear with curiosity. People had been to space, climbed mountains, and crossed deserts, but this place still felt old, untouched, and protected. They felt small compared to the deep sea. A big shadow suddenly moved under the ship. It was gone in a matter of seconds, but everyone saw it. The screens didn't show a clear picture. They just showed a blur. It was big, whatever it was. A lot bigger than any deep sea animal they had planned to see. The lights on the ship looked around in the dark but didn't find anything. Still, they felt like they weren't alone. The captain told the ship to slow down even more. As they hovered in the deep, the blue light below got brighter and spread out like mist across the ocean floor. It made the water shine in a way that no one had ever seen before. The ocean didn't seem empty anymore. It felt awake. The crew looked at each other nervously. This was supposed to be a mission for research. A simple search. But now, every instinct told them they were on the edge of something dangerous. Something is hidden. The surface was too far away for them to see. The deep sea animals watched from the shadows all around them. The blue light waited below them. The ship kept going down, not knowing that this was just the start. The ship slowly moved into the glowing mist as it moved forward. The blue light surrounded it on all sides, soft but deep, like a fog made of light instead of air. The crew felt a strange mix of calm and fear inside the ship. The controls still worked and the engine still hummed, but something was off. The ocean seemed to be in a different mood. The water outside the window didn't look empty anymore. Inside the glow, shapes moved. They weren't clear at first, like shadows behind a curtain. Then a shape became clear, a huge squid. Its long body floated peacefully next to the ship, and its huge eyes were on the glass. It didn't hurry. It didn't attack. It just moved in a slow circle as if it was watching the people inside. The crew was quiet as they watched. No one reached for the alarms. No one yelled. The squid moved smoothly and with control, as if it were thinking. Its tentacles trailed behind it like ribbons, glowing softly as they moved through the blue mist. For a brief time, it seemed more like a protector of the deep than an animal. More shapes showed up soon. Sharks with light-colored eyes, almost white, followed at a distance. They didn't swim very fast. They stayed just far enough away to be seen, and they moved in quiet lines. Their bodies moved through the glowing water without making a sound. People didn't fear these sharks at the surface. These deepest animals seemed older, calmer, and more aware. The crew could feel it clearly now that they were inside the ship. Someone was watching them. A crew member leaned closer to the window and put a hand on the glass. "They're not attacking," he said in a low voice. "They're waiting." He spoke in a low, shaky voice as if he were afraid the ocean might hear him. The captain looked closely at the screens. The sonar picked up movement all around them, but nothing came rushing in. No sudden jumps. No signs of trouble. But the pressure in the room felt even worse than before. It wasn't fear of death, it was fear of the unknown. The glowing fog got thicker. The lights on the ship had a hard time cutting through it. The soft blue light seemed to soak up everything, wrapping the ship in it. It seemed like time was moving slowly. Seconds seemed to last longer than they should. One crew member looked at his watch twice because he couldn't believe how little time had passed. The giant squid made another slow circle outside. The light from the ship's eye reflected off of it, like a mirror. For a moment, it seemed like the squid wasn't looking at the machine but at the people inside it. The sharks moved around and made a big circle around the boat. No attack yet. Still no signs of being hungry. They moved with purpose, like guards who weren't supposed to be there. At that point the crew started to get it. These deep sea creatures weren't hunting. They were protecting something. There was a low sound that echoed through the ship. It wasn't an alarm or a warning, it was the water itself vibrating. It was quiet, like a faint hum in the distance. The sound went through the metal walls and into their bodies. Everyone felt it in their heart. Someone asked quietly, "What is that?" No one said anything. The blue mist moved and a small hole opened up under the ship. The crew saw darkness through the opening that was deeper than anything else. It wasn't dark and empty. It felt thick, heavy, and deep. The squid floated closer to that opening and then stopped as if to say, "Don't cross this line." The ship slowed down even more, almost stopping. The crew looked at each other. Some were excited while others were scared. They had trained to explore the deep sea, but nothing could have prepared them for this feeling. Standing at the edge of a secret that had been hidden for thousands of years. One of the crew members thought about the surface. About the sun. About how peaceful the ocean looked from above. The ocean felt different down here. Not mad. Not violent. Just being aware. The sharks slowly turned, never taking their pale eyes off the boat. The giant squid stayed still and calm. The blue mist moved slowly, like a living thing breathing. The captain took a deep breath and told everyone to stay where they were in a soft voice. Don't make any sudden moves. No sharp turns. It seemed wrong to hurry. The ship stayed still, floating in the glowing veil. It was surrounded by deep sea animals that had lived here long before people did. The crew now understood one thing very well. This was not just an exploration. They had entered a world that was protected. And whatever was beyond the blue mist was not easy to find. The calm broke without any warning. The giant squid that had been swimming around suddenly changed its course. Its body became stiff and its slow rhythm stopped. It rushed forward in a flash. The crew had little time to respond. A loud echoed through the ship as something heavy hit the outside. The lights inside flickered, and a few people grabbed onto nearby rails to keep from falling. Before anyone could say anything, thick tentacles wrapped around the ship's body. They pushed against the metal with surprising force, sliding over lights and sensors. The squid's huge shape blocked the light from outside, making the glass windows darker. Inside, the alarms finally went off, but not in a screaming way. The pressure levels changed. Systems had a hard time staying stable. "Hold steady," the captain said, trying to keep his voice calm. The crew moved quickly, but they were careful. This wasn't panic. It was a mix of training and fear. People's hands flew across the controls, changing the power and balance. Another tentacle tightened its grip, and the ship shook again. The sound of metal bending filled the small space, making everyone painfully aware of how thin the walls were between them and the deep. There were flashes of light outside. Electric eels swam through the water, their bodies glowing brightly as they let out bursts of energy. The flashes lit up the dark in quick bursts, showing that there was more movement around the ship. The shadows moved. The water was churning. The calm order that was there before was gone. One crew member looked through the window, their heart racing. The squid's eye was visible again. It was wide, focused, and didn't blink. It didn't seem interesting anymore. It was angry. The ship tried to break free, and at first the engines pushed it gently, then harder. The squid fought back, its tentacles tightening. The crew could feel every movement through the floor under their feet. It felt like something was holding them that knew how weak they were. The water was filled with another flash from the electric eels. For a moment the lights on the ship went out, but then they came back on. A few screens turned off and on. Someone cursed quietly and ran to fix the systems. "This wasn't supposed to happen," one crew member said quietly, mostly to himself. The captain kept an eye on the readings. "We're not here to fight," he said. "We just need some room." But the deep sea didn't care what people wanted. The squid pulled again, making the boat go down a little bit. The pressure rose and everyone could feel it in their ears and chest. Breathing got harder. Even though it was cold, I started to sweat. Then all of a sudden the grip got weaker. One tentacle got away and then another. The ship floated freely for a short time, moving slowly through the dark. No one was happy. They knew it wasn't done. The electric eels came closer and flashed again. The water around the ship lit up and then went dark again and again. Every flash showed the squid moving to a new spot, this time faster and more aggressively. The deep sea animals were no longer just standing guard. They were making the people leave. The crew changed the angle of the ship so it could move up without making sudden movements. It seemed like every sound inside was too loud. Every step felt dangerous. A bad choice could make things worse. Another impact hit the side, this time lighter but still strong enough to shake the ship. The squid brushed by, its body scraping against the metal. It was a deep, unsettling sound like something old passing by. The crew thought the attack might stop for a while. The squid came back after that. This time it hit from below. The ship shook and alarms went off more loudly. A crew member lost his balance, but a teammate quickly pulled him back up. The message was clear even though no one was hurt badly. They weren't welcome here. The captain made a choice. He said, "We're pulling back." There was no argument. Survival was more important than curiosity. The engines pushed harder and the ship slowly rose. The squid followed for a little while but then it stopped. Its huge shape slowly disappeared into the glowing mist. The electric eels ran away and their flashes got weaker as they did. The dark came back. The crew sat in heavy silence inside the ship. The hands were still shaking a little. Breathing slowly got back to normal. Nobody smiled. Not many people talked. They had faced the deep sea and the deep sea had answered. The pressure went down as the ship moved away. The systems got stable. Outside, only faint shapes were left and they were slowly drifting again. The deep sea animals went back to watching quietly as if nothing had happened. But the crew would never forget. They learned something important while they were down there. Some places were not meant to be fully explored. There was a reason to keep some secrets safe. The ocean always decides who can stay, whether it's calm or stormy. The blue veil started to get thinner as the ship slowly went down again. The mist that was glowing slowly went away, and something huge appeared below it. At first it looked like a shadow made by rocks and coral. But as the lights got closer, the crew knew it wasn't real. It was a building. Big. Quiet. The shape came up from the bottom of the ocean like a wall of a forgotten city. There were layers of color on the surface like deep reds, dull greens, and pale whites that looked like scars left by time. Some parts of the structure were broken, and the edges were smooth from water that had flowed over them for thousands of years. This place had been here long before any humans ever touched the sea. No one inside the ship spoke for a few seconds. This can't be happening," one crew member finally said, his voice shaky and low. The captain moved closer to the window. He tried to figure out the shape of the building by following the long lines with his eyes. It wasn't a coincidence. There were clear patterns like straight edges, wide openings, and curved walls that made it look like design, not chance. Then something happened. A big shadow moved slowly in front of the building. Then one more. And another one. Whales. The huge whales in the deep sea moved slowly through the water, blocking the ship's view with their dark bodies. They didn't hurry or swim quickly. Like living walls, they moved slowly and with quiet strength. A whale would drift in front of the ship every time it tried to change course, gently but firmly stopping it. The message was clear. Do not go. The crew felt small again. Less than before. These deep sea creatures didn't seem scared. They were in charge. Just by looking at them, the ship felt weak, like a toy floating in someone else's world. The ship hovered, not sure what to do next. The captain told the ship to move a little to the side so he could see more of the structure without crossing any invisible lines. For a short time it worked. Two whales made a space between them, which showed a big hole in the old wall. It was full of darkness, deep, endless darkness. And then everything was different. The water around the boat suddenly changed. The calm pressure became heavy and sharp. Animals from the deep sea that were smaller came from all sides. Sharks moved faster and were closer than before. The giant squid came back, moving quickly and directly. The water lit up in bright, sudden bursts again when the electric eels flashed. The attack had started up again. But this time it felt different. There was no warning. No slow build-up. The whales moved first, using their huge tails to push waves of water. The ship rocked hard and was thrown off balance a little. Crew members inside grabbed onto seats and rails as the alarms went off again. Someone yelled over the noise, "They're protecting it." The squid got close and hit the water near the boat instead of the metal. The force was strong enough to shake everything inside. Sharks swam quickly past the windows, their pale eyes steady and focused. The electric flashes got stronger, lighting up the deep with sharp light and shadow. This wasn't anger. This was protection. The crew worked quickly to fix the systems, keep the ship steady, and try not to make the animals more angry. The captain spoke loudly but calmly, directing the team through each step. "Don't make any sudden moves. Stay away. We don't question them." But the deep sea had already made up its mind. The whales completely closed the gap, making a moving wall between the ship and the old building. The whales pushed water back with a slow, unstoppable force every time the ship got closer. The pressure outside got stronger. The ship let out a soft groan, which reminded everyone how fragile it really was. One crew member looked at the structure through a small opening, their heart racing. He said softly, "We aren't supposed to see this." The squid swam under the boat, and its huge shape faded into the dark. Sharks stayed close, swimming in circles but never touching or leaving. The animals in the deep sea were no longer afraid. They moved without any doubt. They had picked this place and they would keep it safe. Finally, the captain made the hardest choice. "We pull back." No. No one disagreed. At first, the engines pushed gently, but then they pushed harder. The whales didn't chase. They just stayed where they were and watched the boat slowly move away. The squid floated back toward the building. The sharks spread out and went back to their quiet patrol. As the distance grew, the old building faded back into the dark. The walls covered in coral faded into the dark. Like a curtain being drawn, the blue veil slowly closed above it, hiding everything. The crew sat quietly inside the ship, their minds racing and their breathing heavy. They had seen something that no one else had. Something the ocean didn't want to share. The deep sea animals went back to moving slowly and carefully, just like they always did, to protect the hidden depth. And as the ship went up, everyone on board knew one thing for sure. Some secrets never die. They're safe. The ship slowly rose, hurt but still alive. A few systems were running on backup power, and warning lights were softly glowing inside. The metal walls had deep cuts and bends in them that showed what had happened below. The engine's hum, the soft beeping of the monitors, and even the crew's breathing all sounded louder now. Nobody talked much. There were some empty seats. The crew saw it without saying any names. There was one empty chair next to the control panel. Another area by the window was quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. Not everyone comes back from the deep sea. There was no yelling or anger, just a heavy silence that hung in the air like a shadow. The captain kept his eyes on the front and moved the ship up with steady hands. His face looked calm, but his mind kept going over everything they had seen. The blue veil, the old building, and the deep sea animals that protected it without fear. He knew that this mission would change them for good. The pressure slowly went down as the ship rose. The deep darkness outside started to fade. There were faint hints of blue that got darker and then lighter. Life went back to how it used to be. Small fish swam around without being scared. The strange light from below faded away as if it had never been there. Finally, after hours, the ship broke through the surface. The windows let in bright, warm sunlight. The ocean above was calm, wide, and quiet. The water was calm and the waves looked like they were rolling over the sky. From above, nothing looked like it could hurt you. There was no sign of the secret world below. The crew slowly stepped out, tired and quiet. They took in the fresh air. Some people closed their eyes and let the sun shine on their faces. Others looked back at the ship with tired eyes, following the damage. They were alive, but they were different. Later, people would write reports. Words that are easy to understand would be used. Equipment not working. Changes in pressure that are not expected. Some data is missing. No mention of veils that glow. Not a word about old buildings. There is no mention of whales standing like walls or squids watching with knowing eyes. The ocean doesn't like it when people tell its secrets. And the crew knew that. The ocean below went back to being quiet that night while the ship rested and the crew tried to sleep. The blue veil slowly settled back into place deep below the surface. The glowing mist slowly closed, hiding the old building again. Animals in the deep sea went back to their calm paths. The whales moved slowly around the hidden depth, and their huge bodies blocked all paths. The sharks went back to their quiet patrols, their pale eyes scanning the dark. The giant squid moved slowly and steadily near the coral-covered walls. The electric eels disappeared into the dark, their light fading and becoming less bright. There was nothing wrong. Nothing was changed. The ocean had kept its own things safe. From far away, the sea looked empty and safe. Ships went by without knowing what was below them. The world went on as it always did, with waves rolling, storms forming, and so on. But down below, time moved in a different way. The old building was not damaged. Coral kept growing on its walls. Water moved through its broken edges like a slow breath. The deep-sea animals were always on the lookout, patient and ready. For hundreds of years they had done this. They would do it again. The memories stayed with the crew who came back. They thought about the water that glowed in the dark when things were quiet. The sense that someone is watching you. The idea that people were visitors to the deep, not owners of it. There are some things that should not be looked into. Some secrets should stay hidden. The blue veil will stay closed, silent, hidden, and safe forever as long as the ocean stays deep and wide. Waterwave.